judgment by the Supreme Court of Nigeria that old naira 1,500 naira, 200 naira old note should still be a legal, should be legal tender till December 31st. Now, we still have people uh, queuing for this cash. What's your view on this?
Well, once again, good morning, listener. Good morning, Bing, and thank you for having me. Um, First, I would like to reiterate the fact that the judgment hasn't got the kind of effect people expected. We thought when the Supreme Court speaks, there should be a kind of earthquake, a rush to obey what the Supreme Court said, and so on. But there was this lull, there was this skepticism, there was this holding back to see what would be the outcome of what the Supreme Court has said. Ordinarily, we should just go and say, okay, fine, the Supreme Court has spoken, so let's take that as it is. But it looks like the Supreme Court is on the one hand, the citizens are on the other, while the government, by government I mean the federal government, Buhari and the federal government, are yet on another hand. So some are saying, let's hear what they will say if they are going to obey this Supreme Court, or maybe the president will direct the CBN to obey the court orders. Some are saying, okay, maybe the CBN will just tell banks to normalize activities. Yet, some are saying it's a straightforward thing, it's a declarative judgment, so the banks do not need to wait for any explanation and so on. But that is the kind of antecedent, that's the kind of issue that had followed this Naira swap policy. The federal government has this penchant for disobeying court orders, and people no longer see it as something that could be done, that the Supreme Court would speak and people will obey. So because of that, it has created a gap between our understanding of what government should be and our understanding of what Supreme Courts
But
should be.
some banks yesterday were giving old naira notes.
Yes,
Are they acting on their own initiative since the CBN has not even directed bank formally?
Well, ordinarily, one would have said, okay, the banks should just go back to normal circulation of the naira, normal banking activities and so on. But I want to believe, because this is my opinion now, that they offered skeletal services to see how the reaction is going to be from the powers that be. That's what I think. Because if it had been on the norms, if things were normal, Friday banks should be back to their regular routine activities. Monday things would normalize. There will be money in the banks, because what we learned was that the allegation was that there is no cash in bank vaults, which has sustained the cash crunch in the economy. And we felt by today the CBN will release cash, whether it is the old one or the new one, because what the law says is that they can run pari passu. The two should be in circulation until December 31. So that should have been the ordinarily perceptible thing, which you can see as you move around and so on. But as it is now, people are still skeptical. People are like, will they take these old notes from me? Will they not take it? If I go to the bank, look, there are still loads of people queuing in front of bank
Yes,
gates.
even POS
Agents and so on. So what exactly is going on? Is it that there is no money, or that the banks are worried, they don't want to take a plunge, and the CBN will now say, why did you do that against our instruction? And banks are like, should we obey the Supreme Court or should we wait for the CBN? So that confusion still pervades, and that's the offshoot. That's as a result of previous activities, previous actions taken by the federal government and the CBN. So because of that, people are like, okay, let's wait. Let's hear.
President Muhammadu Buhari is not in Nigeria presently,
Yes.
and the CBN governor has not spoken. Do you think that there is likelihood of not obeying this court order again?
I think there is a likelihood of not obeying the court order. I don't need to mince words about that, because we are used to it. The president is not in the country. He can make a phone call. He can send an email. He can direct somebody to speak to Nigerians and say, gentlemen, dear fellow Nigerians, We have seen how it is. The Supreme Court is higher than whatever, and please let's go about our normal activities and etc. Things like that. But nobody has heard anything. He's not in the country. He's just there keeping quiet and leaving us to read in our, to serenade in our mess. I don't know. That's just the way I look at it. It's not helpful. It's not helping. It's not even. It's negative. You see, look at the inflation now. It's negatively impacting us. If you are to buy pepper for 2,000 naira, now you have to buy it for 2,200 naira. Yeah. Because you add the money, the bank charges with which the pepper seller will withdraw the 2,000 naira, and so on and so forth.
But the question now is, do you think President Muhammadu Buhari is feeling what Nigerians are going through? Don't forget that he came out to apologize over the weekend, but Nigerians are still saying that if he's actually feeling what Nigerians are going through, he would have done the needful.
If he's feeling it, or if we are feeling it, I don't think this thing would have lingered this long. So he doesn't. Everything is at his beck and call. He is the commander-in-chief of the armed forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So he doesn't. He's there in his Aso Rock, ensconced in the comfort of the villa, immune from all the vagaries of what is going on in the. If he hear himself, let me use the pidgin parlance. Even if he hear now with one ear, even if he heard anything, it's with one ear. It is not a thing of the heart. It's not like, my people are suffering. What do we do? Gentlemen, Minister of Finance, CBN Governor, and National Economic Advisor, please, gentlemen, come. How do we handle this? You don't see that. You don't see there is no information. We don't hear from the National Orientation Agency. You don't hear from the Ministry of Information. You don't hear from anybody. Many of us only glean certain things, and some of them are not things you come on air and be dishing out because you cannot convincingly prove it. If they ask you to prove it and you claim sources, if you claim sources, the source will say, okay, no, it's not me. So we don't see anything. We don't hear anything. We are just there bland. We are just there moping. We are looking like somebody we know they see. You just look and...
Sam, can we take this further? Now, this is the Supreme Court making a judgment on an issue, on a case, and it has declared it. But it appears that Supreme Court does not have the final verdict. Now, moving away from this cash issue, if it happens to be something bigger, or I don't even know what is bigger than this, but if it had to be something else that is going to affect more than this, should we be waiting for the presidency to give verdicts over what the court has judged already?
No. In simple language, no, we shouldn't. When the court says this is it, that is it. And it's binding on everyone, including the federal government. But Nigeria is the kind of society where you have power layers. Each layer of power will exert its influence. Ordinarily, the Supreme Court, look at what happened in the Supreme Court in the US. When the Supreme Court speaks, everybody obeys, beginning from the president. But here, when the Supreme Court speaks, everybody will now wait for the president to say, yes, the Supreme Court has spoken, or no, that thing we didn't talk now, nonsense. And we go back to square one, which is where we are now. Otherwise, we should be back to normal, or we should have seen the signs that things are going back to normal. Yesterday, I didn't have cash. I was just praying. And it was when my wife came and she said, man, I got 3,000 naira. I was dancing. I say,
so you're giving me part of that because I do not have cash presently.
Interestingly, that was last night, and children have gone to school this morning. Wow. So you understand what that means?
Wow.
I don't drive as we speak. So now the children will need to transport themselves to school. So now, in fact, when we are sharing the money, we are like, okay, thank God for Warren G sang a song, One More Day. Thank God for one more day. Now, by evening, when all of us get back home, we now begin to think of how to go the next day. It shouldn't be. Because we plan. When you plan your life, you now you plan your life and you now hang it on what if. Ordinarily, your what if should be God. If I pray and God says wait, you wait. If you pray and God says here it is, beautiful. And if you pray and God says no, that is it. But here, after praying, you now wait on government. So you don't know the layers of the rejection you are going to receive. So it's a problem. The Supreme Court will speak and you now wait on the president, or you wait on one almighty CBN.
CBN Governor Emefiele there's no immunity for Governor Emefiele.
No.
Now,
it's not
why exactly? Why is it foot dragging? Is he playing the role of he will pace the piper, dictates the tune?
Yes, he's dancing to the tune of one piper. The Iromi. The
drummer.
Yes, the drummer for the leaf that is dancing on top of the water is under the water. That's a transliteration of that saying, But what it means is that someone is pulling the strings. There's a puppeteer somewhere pulling the strings, and the puppet is reacting to the strings. That's exactly what it is, because I don't see a CBN that is supposed to be serving the interests of the country ruining this country, and the government keeps quiet. That's why I was worried when we are trying to separate the government from what the CBN is doing. When somebody will say, Governor El-Rufai said President Muhammad Buhari was ill-advised. If they ill-advise you, and you hear people like your own people like El-Rufai and others saying, no, Your Excellency, this is wrong, and he keeps doing it, then it means he has his own actions to take too. He has his own motives. How can you be saying that he was ill-advised and the country is turning upside down, everything is in disarray, and you said because you insist that because of someone's advice, the things should continue like that? Is Emefiele bigger than the federal government? So it's one thing to try to understand the issues. It's another thing to play to be condescending on it.
We cross our fingers and see what happens in a few days, since Nigerians have been talking on it. The phone lines are open: 0909 999 7937, 0909 999 7937, or 0704 7937. With that, we go on a commercial break. We'll be right back.
Vintage is classic. Vintage is culture. Vintage is our heritage. Vintage 93.7 FM. Ibadan.
He came with a humble heart ready to serve. He said he had opinion and a will to lead a people-oriented government. He said it wasn't about the love or lust of office, but rather about selfless service to the people. 4 years down the line, he has justified the confidence reposed in him. Prompt payment of workers' salaries, befitting youth employment and empowerment, construction of roads across the state, quality education for all irrespective of the class or status of the people, respect and care for our traditional rulers, light up for your project, improved healthcare services across the state. Do you know that his salaries and allowances since he assumed office are also being used to pay pensioners in Oyo State? Sheyi has performed creditably well. Let's give him another 4 years to further transform the Oyo State. Sheyi Makinde is the man. PDP is the party. Umbrella is our logo. PDP, power to the people.
All right, welcome back. We'll start talking about what happens, what are in the newspaper this morning. And don't forget you can be part of this conversation by calling 0909 999 7937, 0909 999 7937, or 0704 7937, 0704 7937. And the program is Black Coffee. I still have in the studio with me Sam Woku. All right, before we went on that commercial break, we were looking at the money and the cashless policy and the whole scarcity now. But we left that. Now let's look at Atiku vows to extend protest demands results cancellation. The People's Democratic Party members on Monday besieged the Independent National Electoral Commission headquarters in Abuja in protest the outcome of the February 25th presidential election, which the party's standard bearer Atiku Abubakar and his Labour Party counterpart Peter Obi claimed to have won. Now we have the PDP on the street. We have the PDP in court. Where are we going?
It's like, for them, it's like a two-pronged attack. One of the reasons they said the protest was called, Atiku and his supporters, is because the Independent National Electoral Commission, the INEC, wants to reconfigure the beavers, which they should use
for the governorship
for
election.
Saturday's governorship election. Now, a court has granted them the leave to inspect the election materials, and part of the election materials is the beavers. And this same beavers is what you want to reconfigure for the next governorship election. It means that something will have to give. So now there is confusion. INEC, as far as I'm concerned, is in a fix, because INEC, that's why INEC had to go back to court to file a counter motion to say, look, we need these same beavers for the governorship election. So there is a problem. Where are we? We are in a confusion. Although the reason why it appears as if there's no tension is because a presidential a winner of the presidential election has been declared by INEC. So INEC is like, I have done my own. You go to court and sort yourselves out.
Now, the president had said that whoever that feels aggrieved or that is not satisfied with the outcome of the election should go to court,
Yes.
which the party, the PDP and Labour Party have gone ahead to do. Now, going back on the street to protest this, is it not sending a signal that they are not believing or in the court of law?
They are not believing in the court of law. They are still hanging on one thread. Two things from my own perspective. They want it's like you are in court, and at the same time it's like a child that is crying and talking at the same time. Maybe there is a need for emphasis, but they have to pursue the courts to a logical conclusion. Now, the protests are making demands of INEC before the courts make any pronouncement is for them an additional weight. They are placing additional weight on the electoral body. But to what effect is what I don't know. Because you can protest at INEC till tomorrow. If INEC has a job to do, INEC will have to do its job.
Tinubu says, Atiku, beg your pardon, Atiku says that the protest will continue. And that shows that it's going to be, it persists for more than one day. And having said that, looking at what is happening now, election is in a few days. Can you just move closer to me? Yeah. Election is coming in a few days. What is the signal? Do you see the election be postponed? Don't forget that the reconfiguration of the beavers takes almost, I think, 5 days or thereabouts.
And it's Tuesday already.
And they've not even started. So do you see the election holding on Saturday?
I see the election holding because they will ignore the protests, they will ignore even the court order. That's what it means. That's the implication. Now, did INEC plan this well? That's one thing. Or is this part of the entire gamut of earlier plans? We should also look at that. Now, INEC might have known or should have known, or maybe say INEC should have put into consideration the fact that some people would be aggrieved and they would make demands of them in the court. And yet, you are talking about the same beavers. Don't we have enough beavers machines for each of the elections? Has it got to be the same machines? I don't know. So what did INEC plan for in terms of logistics, in terms of equipment, in terms of training, in terms of who is eligible to do what and what? There are also accusations that some of the people who were trained to help INEC in carrying out the elections and left in annoyance. Some even were replaced overnight. That is why, according to some of the people who are talking, that is why people get to the polling unit and you saw that some people were fumbling with the BVAS machine. They didn't know what to do.
Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Your name and where are you calling us from?
Okay, I'm Valkyrie Olodiran from Ibadan.
Okay, please make your point.
Regarding the Supreme Court order that was issued on Friday, I think the president is putting the whole of Nigeria in a dilemma by remaining mute and not letting us know its stance. Some people went to some of the commercial banks yesterday and they dispensed old notes. But out of fear that the president has not said anything, they couldn't collect them. There were those people, at least who were bold enough to collect them, were unable to spend the money in their areas. So the president should please do something. He's not above the law. He should issue a statement on or before Friday. So we'll know if actually he's going to obey the Supreme Court order as regards the legal tender of the ONU. That is my contribution. Good morning and well done.
All right, good morning. Thank you very much. All right, we have some comments on the Facebook here. Akpotie Rioluwa just said, keep up the good work. All right, thank you. Ayodele Damlola said, CBN should print more notes, but we have been saying this since January. We have been saying this since January and nothing seems changing. I think something is wrong with the conceptualization of the policy, not even the execution, as we have been thinking. Targeting and trying the policy majorly to vote buying in concept hugely affected its egalitarian implementation. Or that's Ayodele Damlola making the point there. Back to what we're saying. BVAS takes 5 days for reconfiguration. Election on Saturday. Today is Tuesday. Now, you are saying that shouldn't them have enough BVAS that will go for presidential election and go for governorship other elections.
Sorry. Yeah, let me.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Sulaiman Sharif. Good morning, journalists in the studio.
Please make your name and where you calling us from.
Sulaiman Sharif calling from Manara. Sulaiman Sharif.
All right, thank you.
I think it is right time the federal government to make a supreme sacrifice. We know their intention about this new Naira design, but what the Supreme Court pronouncement is supposed to utter statement to know how things going now, because some people are still getting the money. That's my own observation on that. Please, the sound of this station is just cracking like it is. Please find lasting solution to it.
All right,
just
thank
to
you.
notify you.
All right, thank you very much. You are working on that.
That's a technical issue.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that.
And then maybe by way of saying this, he said that the federal government should pay the supreme sacrifice. Supreme sacrifice means it doesn't mean obeying the Supreme Court. It means something completely different from that. So I hope Mr. Sulaiman Sharif would get to know that. Yes, please. It's important. Then the thought we had was there is the INEC, from what it is saying, it has created a recipe for failure already on Saturday.
On Saturday.
That is, if INEC does not have some, because if you say the BVAS used for the presidential election is also the BVAS that's going to be used for the governorship election, and these are very different elections.
But it appears that the reconfiguration is in 2 stages. First, they they have to back up the data, then print it out in the format, then bring it out so that they can study, so they can actually work on it. I guess something like that is going to happen.
Then if that's it, I don't see any reason for any protest about that. That's on the one hand. But if they are protesting that INEC declared results and shouldn't have gone ahead with that despite protest. Let the court decide that one. They should anyway. They are protesting at INEC. They are not protesting at Lagos Ibadan Express Road or some other places where the life of Nigerians, ordinary Nigerians, will be disrupted. This is as far as I'm concerned. There are procedures to go through. There are procedures, Yes, many people are aggrieved. Yes, many people are. In fact, the foreign media have been giving it to INEC and so many other issues around it. But again, life goes on. Life goes on. It's not as if you keep you swallow things you don't want to swallow. But at the same time, while you reject certain things, you also allow others to live their life. That's the way I look at it. So the protest, I don't know what it's meant to achieve. Maybe it's just for them to mount a double pressure. But I think what if they are going to get anything done, it is going to be through the courts. That's my opinion on that.
It is the PDP that is protesting now. Labour Party too likely to protest.
Well, Labour Party made what they said about it, it sparked laughter yesterday. Not laughter as I was amused. Labour Party said, well, they said we should go to court. We are obedient. We have gone to court. So that was their response to the protest. While they also pursue the other protestations through some other means. They say we should go to court. We are obedient. We have gone to court. So I don't see Labour Party going to the streets. They have not. The tone towards that is not.
It's not on the streets.
It's not on the streets. It's not clear. So I want to believe that Labour Party might not follow PDP to go on the streets, and we see what the courts will tell them about that. Because if PDP is protesting about the same beavers and the same election and so on.
But not let us forget that there is something like in Ohan is the Indigo. I think Ohan is or IPOB. I don't know. I can't remember for now. That says that it is Peter Obi that won the election. We've seen different quarters of people saying that Obi won the election, Atiku won the election, and INEC has come out to declare a certain candidate, as George Bola Ahmed Tinubu, that he won the election. When we have all these skirmishes around, where are we heading to?
To put it mildly, I would say we are heading to the courts. There is no confusion here. INEC has declared its winner, and INEC is the authority in this. So now that INEC has declared a winner, what it means is that those who are aggrieved will go to court and say, INEC, you erred, you made a mistake. This is wrong. And they prove it. So that's why I said we are heading to court, because as it is now, it is PDP that is protesting.
INEC boss made a statement on Saturday, and people said that it was because it was pressurized. That was why I had to come out to declare, to make. Do you think he was pressurized, or he admitted some things?
Well, if he admitted even under pressure, that's what it is. He admitted, I think the preponderance of opinion points to INEC having mishandled the opportunity to give us an election that would have saved us all this wahala.
Come Saturday, what is your view? Let's start going.
There will be elections on Saturday by the grace of God, and we hope to see how it pans out. People will go out to choose their governors and their members of the houses of assembly. So Saturday, Nigerians have another opportunity to go use the ballot paper to make their choices known. So I wish Nigeria well in all of this.
All right, thank you very much. I've been speaking with Sam Uwoko, and this is where we'll be capping it up on the Black Coffee this morning, Vintage 93.7 FM. My name is Oluwagumiga Olabisi. Aigba Sport is inside. I need someone to tell this man that he's an elderly man. Should stop dressing like we youths. All right, till tomorrow. Do enjoy the rest of the day.
Is your radio on? It better be on. 93.7 FM.